So I don't know why you clicked on this video, but I'm hoping that you are searching and looking for what God has next for you, and how do you find what God is saying to you. The simple answer, real quick, so you can just watch this and move on, is read the Word, pray to the Lord, and move on. But if you want to keep watching, let's talk about it. So I was just reading one of the scriptures that I'm starting to put in my memory bank, because I've decided that I want to go on a memory journey for scripture, which is the scripture is Romans 12:2, and it reads like this. Bear with me. Do not be conformed. Okay, here we go. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Hold on, let me just read it to you. All right, here we go. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Romans 12:2. Look, I got it on a little thing of note cards. Get you one of these. Do this every day. Hopefully, we can get our scripture memorized and in our hearts. Yeah. But so I bring that up so that we know, in order for us to know what God's will is, in order for us to know what his word says, in order for us to know what he's saying to us, is by reading the word and hiding it in our hearts. So that's our plan. That's my plan, at least. My plan is to read the word, hide it in my heart, to memorize it, and to put it in my heart so that in moments where I don't know where to go, I don't know what's next, I can have the word regurgitate up, stand up in me, so I can have an understanding of what God would say, what God would know, where God would direct me, if that makes sense. A lot of the time, I find myself just saying anything. Especially me, I talk a lot, so I tend to say things sometimes without thinking. I talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And even with this video, sometimes I find myself just talking and yapping and yapping. That's why I stop recording and record and stop recording. But if I'm full of scripture, what else is going to come out? I hope that 90% of what comes out, or majority of what comes out, is scripture. Because if what comes out is the word, the Lord's word, then a lot less of Micah will come out. And I think that will lead me down the right direction. And if I'm, like I said in my last video, abiding in the word, I feel like I'm going to know what direction to go down. That's again what it says in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. If you trust in the Lord and his direction, he's going to make a path for you that's going to help you go down the right way. You know, if we're abiding in our own understanding, we're going to be going wherever. You know what I'm saying? Man, you know, that kind of reminds me. I used to run cross country, and sometimes we'd have to run on these courses. And if you would run just to run, and you would just go out on these courses and run in these, well, sometimes we'd have to run in the woods. And if you were running and you didn't stick to the course that was designed for you, you'd end up getting lost. If you made the wrong turn, and sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, there was a couple times where I thought I might have gotten lost because I didn't run. I didn't feel like I was running the right way. But you would see that there's these little white markers that say mile marker. They're like mile markers. They're like mile 1, mile 2, mile 3. And then there's little arrows that point you in the right direction. So as long as you follow those white little arrows, the little mile markers, you would be on the right thing. But if you were off the course, if you kind of went where you felt you want to go, you would be lost. And I know that's kind of a story that might not really make sense if you're not a cross country runner. But what I'm saying is, if you stay on the path that God has for you, you're going to be in the right direction. You're going to be going the right place. And I think the best way for us to do that, especially if you are young, if you are in your 20s or in your early or late teenagehood, is by reading the word, abiding in it, memorizing it. Man, having it with you, having it on you at all times, because that is how we get to hear the Lord. People talk about how do you hear the Lord. I'm going to make a video about this. Hopefully, I'll post it this week. How do we hear the Lord? How do we hear the Lord? But just by knowing what his voice sounds like. A lot of the time when we think we hear the Lord, it might just be our own thoughts. Because yeah, we're not spending enough time with him to know what he sounds like or what he would say, how God would react in a certain situation. And how do you know how somebody would react or what they would say? By spending time with them, spending time in the Word, talking to them, being in prayer. So all of those things are important. And I think a big part of it in our journey is just by reading the Word, memorizing it. So I made a little reel about it. So I think that's where this idea of a video is coming from. But how do we know God's will for our life? How do we hear him? Is by reading the word, continuing to put him first, and trusting that he has all understanding. He has the right advice for us no matter what. So it's a quick little one, obviously short little video, but I want you to know that God's got you. Hide his word in your heart. Hide his word in your heart. If you can, get some little scriptures, tiny scriptures, even if it's just the verses of the day that you write down. If you can, just kind of get them in your heart and try to do them as much as you can. I'm going to try to do it every day, and I hope you can do it with me. Anyway, nice to meet you. I'm Micah. That's the end of this video. If you liked it, like. If you want more videos like this, subscribe and comment. Talk to me. Peace. Nice to meet you.